Hi guys, welcome to Digital TechJoint. In this series of learning AWS Cloud Computing Platform, we are going to learn about Amazon S3. In the previous lessons, we learned about creating and setting up your free tier account in AWS. Then we learned about securing your root account and we learned about IAM. Then we learned about how to set up a server, that is creating of instance, that is EC2 instance on AWS. Now in the fourth series we're going to learn about S3. So S3 is nothing but simple storage service, and it is one of the oldest service of Amazon Web Service. So what are we going to learn in this section? Since it is a lot of topics that will be covered, we are going to specially break down this learning of S3 into multiple sections. So the entire section will be break into followings, like where we learn about AWS S3, what is AWS S3, then different type of S3 storage classes, then creating of bucket rules and properties, what properties and what rules you need to keep in mind when you're creating a bucket. Then we're going to learn about practical section on creating the bucket and uploading the documents or objects. Then we are going to make the objects publicly accessible so that you can share the link and download from anywhere globally. Then we will learn about the importance of versioning and what are the advantages. And then we are going to also explore and enable uploading a static website on S3. Then we are going to work on some write space access using IAM. And then we are going to learn about cross-region replication. How can you replicate your S3 object within different regions? And then finally, how do you enable your S3 logs? And then also, how do you fetch those logs using Athena service? So a lot of things to learn, and this will definitely help you to understand the concept of AWS S3. Now, continuing, what is S3? So basically the standard definition is Amazon Simple Storage Service is an object storage service that offers industry leading scalability, data availability, security and performance. You can use Amazon S3 to store and retrieve any amount of data anytime from anywhere. Adding to it, it also gives the capability to store unlimited files, unlimited objects and any types of objects. When we talk about the different S3 storage classes, we are actually talking about a type of storage that you need to identify before you set up an S3 service on your cloud. This has a detailed explanation on their website which I'll show to you, but I have curated this data so that the understanding is very simple. Now if you look at the left hand side, these are the storage classes. So whenever you're uploading any documents or object on S3, by default it is S3 standard. But there are standard, which is default, then there is standard IA. Now there is intelligent tiering, there is one zone IA, then there's Glacier flexible retrieval and Glacier deep archival. Very quickly, if you look at the second column, I specified the importance and the category why this class needs to be selected before you're uploading. Now if you have when you say standard, that means you want to access the objects uploaded frequently. So that is why whenever you have a requirement where you need to upload a document and access it very frequently, then you should definitely go with the standard. Durability for all this class types is 100%. Now when will you go for standard IA? You will go for standard IA when you don't have there is an infrequency of data that needs to be accessed. That time you can go with the standard IA. Now what is S3 intelligent tiering? So now if you are not able to decide on how your transaction is going to happen and you don't know which class to select, then definitely you can give that task to S3 intelligent tiering. What it does is that based on your pattern, based on your usage and retrieval, it predicts your behavior and accordingly it moves your files to the respective zones. This is something that you can definitely try when you are not sure about your accessing frequency. Then there is S3 one zone IA, that is one zone infrequent access. One zone means the availability zone is only 1. In case of other classes, your availability zone spans to more than 3, or minimum it is 3. For example, if you look at the 5th column, availability zone, all the availability zone is greater than or equals to 3 except for one zone, infrequent access. Obviously here the cost will be less, but then you are adding a risk of losing your data if something goes wrong in that availability zone. Then you have S3 Glacier instant retrieval, then S3 fixable retrieval, and finally Glacier deep archive, where you don't access your data for more than a year or something, which is then you should go with this type of storage class. And this class has the cost difference which is lesser than the other class that is defined and explained over here. For details, you can go to Google and you can type AWS S3 storage class. Now you can get this page where you can click on the first link and go through this entire article where it explains each and every class in detail. And obviously it also has a table which I had copied and formatted for you guys so that explanation is easy. Now coming back to our PPT, the next is the rules and the properties when you define a bucket to upload an object. First, you can store any types of file in S3 bucket. It could be Word, Excel, PDF, or anything. It has no limit. The file size is anywhere between 0 bytes to 5 TB, and you have unlimited storage. You have 100 buckets per account by default. However, you can store unlimited objects within the bucket. S3 is a universal namespace. That means the bucket name that you define should be unique globally. It is just like creating and setting up a domain name. A domain name cannot be duplicated. Just remember this example. Then you can create the bucket within the region. There is no hierarchy of objects within the bucket. Folders can be created inside the bucket, but however you will not be able to create bucket inside a bucket, so that is not allowed. So now we have learned the theory part. Let's jump into our hands-on session, and in this series I am going to show you how to create a bucket and upload few documents in the bucket. So I have already logged into my console, and here is the dashboard. Now in order to access S3, you can click on the services, and then on the you can write these are the recently visited services. But if you want to see all the services, you can simply go to the view all services, and here under the storage you will be able to see S3. Alternatively, you can click here on the search bar and type S3, and you should be able to see the S3 service coming up. Scalable storage in cloud. So click on S3. So once you click on S3, here it redirects you to the dashboard of S3 console. Now I have created certain bucket which I am going to delete and create a new one for you guys, so that we can start from the scratch. So I've created the buckets which I want to delete, and these two buckets will be there. This is a bucket that I require, so I won't be delete this. Now here in this console, in order to create the bucket, you need to click on the button create bucket. So notice that the services in the top right hand corner, it is defined as global. So you don't have to select any region. However, when you are creating a bucket, you need to create a bucket selecting the region, and make sure that the region that you select is very close to your user, so that you reduce the latency. So that is something you should keep in mind. So you should always create a bucket in the region that is physically closer to the user, so that it reduces your latency. So I click on the create bucket. The first thing is a bucket name, and as I mentioned, bucket name must be globally unique and must not contain spaces or uppercase character. So whenever we write a bucket name, it has to be unique. For example, if I type digital and try to create the bucket, then it will say that the bucket name is already exists. So therefore, I'm going to write Digital TechJoint -1. So this is my bucket, and I'm sure it should be available. So it doesn't take any space. So Digital TechJoint 1, or I can say Digital TechJoint bucket. Digital TechJoint bucket, all small. Then I'm going to select Asia Pacific Mumbai AP South 1, and then this is an optional setting. Then there is object ownership. There are two type of ownership. One is ACL disabled and ACL enabled. I will go with ACL enabled. When you select ACL disabled, that means you are going to control the bucket and the objects within the bucket. You are going to write the JSON for providing the access right and everything. In this case, I'm going to select this, and later on we'll see how do you use the policies to create a custom policy to provide the access and visibility of your bucket and the object within the bucket. As of now, we will select ACL enabled. So once you select ACL enabled, the bucket owner is preferred, and then this is the area where it says block public access setting for this bucket. Right now I have blocked it because once I upload it, I want to show you how to enable the visibility to public after you upload the document. So I purposely ticked this. Then you have the bucket versioning. This also right now I'll disable it. I want to show it in a separate section. What is the advantage and how to enable this? And these are the tags. Suppose you want to create any tag, and you can just put a key name and provide your first bucket or something like that. Default encryption. So currently encryption is disabled. If you enable encryption, there are two types of encryption. One is that managed by only S3 managed keys, and there is a global management that is managed by Amazon Key Management Service. It applies to all the services in AWS, and this one applies to only S3. Right now we will not get into this detail and just disable the encryption. Then we have advanced option where we say whether you want to lock the object. As of now, disable this. So these are the settings to create a bucket. Let's go ahead and create the bucket. We click on the create. So you can see successfully bucket is created, and you can see the bucket is there. It's Digital TechJoint, that is DTG bucket, and it shows you the region, and then bucket and objects not public. So in order to upload document inside this or object inside this bucket, you need to click on the bucket. When you click on the bucket, you can see some parameters and properties that you can set for this bucket. So like we have property section where there is bucket versioning, tags which we already written, and encryption, and there is something called intelligent triering which I had mentioned it. There is server logging if you wish to log all the request, response, upload and download within the bucket. And there is event management, which we are going to learn how to enable event. So whenever there is any upload or delete, event notification will be fired using simple notification server, and then your emails you will receive it in your inbox. So this is transfer acceleration, which enables you to upload more than 5 TB of data, and it uploads using multipart, where the entire file is divided into multiple parts and uploaded. As I mentioned, it's object log. So all these properties, and then obviously we're going to see this static website hosting, so we can convert this S3 into an hosting directory, and you can host your static website. So these are the properties which we will delve in detail. Then there is permission. You can right now it's publicly blocked, and then there is a bucket policy which you can create your own bucket policy, and then there's some matrices, and then management. This is a lifestyle management where you can move your bucket data from one storage class to another depending upon the number of days. So this is a very powerful and it's a very useful workflow that you can set up. And then obviously there is access point. So this is a bucket, and in order to upload document, I click on this bucket, and then there is a button called upload. I click on upload, and then there is add files or you can create a add a folder also, but right now I'll just add a file. One more thing, you can go ahead and also create a folder. So within the bucket, I didn't show it to you. So this is the bucket and I showed all these properties, but within this bucket, if you want to create a folder, you can just create a folder and name it as documents or something like that. So you can categorize this and you can just create a bucket. So you see the bucket is created. The document, this is not a bucket, this is a folder. So you'll not be able to create a bucket within a bucket, as I mentioned. So in order to manage that hierarchy, you can create folders. Now I'll go ahead and upload one document. So I click on upload, add files, and I've got a folder AWS, and so I'll go to D drive and AWS S3, and these are the files. So I'm going to upload a PDF file. So here is the file that got selected. It is 249 KB, and I'm going to upload the document. Yes, the file is successfully uploaded. Now if I close it, I can see within the bucket I have the folder and I have a document. Now if I click on the document, I'll be redirected to a page where it shows you property of the file, where you have the S3 URL, and then you have a object URL which is a global URL, but this URL will be blocked. We'll see shortly. When you click on that, you'll say access denied. Then you have the key name. Key name is the file name itself, and then we have the size, last modified, and everything. It says that right now your bucket is not enabled for versioning. We will see that very shortly, or in the next session we'll see that. And this is a standard class, as I mentioned. Whenever you upload a document, by default, if you don't specify, it takes to standard S3 class. So these are the settings for the file. Now let's copy this URL, or you can click on this icon. It says copied, and try to access it on the browser, and you should get this message access denied. Now in order to make this document accessible, there are certain steps that we need to take care. So first we go to a bucket. Okay, and then inside the bucket we go to permission and we click on block public access. We click on edit and untick this box and save the changes. To confirm the setting, enter confirm the field. So just enter confirm without space and click on confirm. Now the bucket is now publicly accessible. Recently there is an update done by AWS. What has happened that in the previous sessions, whenever we created the bucket as public, by default all the documents uploaded was accessible to the globally to the outside world. However, now AWS added one more step. I will show you what is the step. So now the bucket is marked as public access. Even if I mark as public access and I go and refresh the URL, you will still see that access is denied. And in order to make this file accessible, you need to click on that file, go to action, and then scroll down and say make public using ACL, access control list. So once this is there, it will pop up a confirmation and you click on make public and successfully edited for public access. Now if you click on the file and then you copy the URL, or you click on the URL and open in a new tab, you should be able to see the document. So this is a two-step authentication, or this is one more layer of security that AWS has added recently, where you have to explicitly go select the file and say make this a public access. So now we are able to see the file uploaded and we are able to access it. So we can go ahead and also upload one image and see how this works. So we click on upload document and we say add files and we select this beautiful tree scenery, and this is a 276 KB file, and we say upload. So now even this file is uploaded, and I click on this tree.jpg file and I try to access it, and it will say access denied because I need to go to object action. You can also enable this by going to that file, and inside the file you can say object action and make ACL, public ACL, and it's accessible. Now if I click on this link, and I should be able to see the image. So great, we were successfully able to create the bucket. We also showed you how to create folders, upload documents, and also how to make your object accessible globally. Okay, so now in the next session, we are going to learn about versioning. So I will enable versioning in the document and show what is the usage, and we'll practically see how AWS maintains different versions and how can you retrieve your deleted objects using versioning. See you in the next session. Please do subscribe, like, and share my videos. Thank you very much for your time.